Yeah, I'm ready to get started here. We'll give it just another 30 seconds or so. I know that two
Okay.
folks have texted me. They're trying to get in, so we'll see if they make it or not.
Okay. I'll put myself on mute right now. So unless you ask me a
Awesome.
question.
Cool.
I'm gonna go get them.
I've got some interesting stories for everybody today. Hopefully, they are both interesting and kind of thought provocative, I should say. I'm going to mute my phone, but my name is Glenn Hughes. I work with Keller Williams. My wife is my partner. Her name is Gift Thompia. Everybody calls her from Christmas Gift. And we're going to be reviewing The Millionaire Real Estate Investor from Gary Keller. We were in a webinar with Gary about, I'm going to say, it was around January 20th. And he reviewed this book with us and gave this to all the Keller Williams folks. So I've added some items inside of here. If you go out and buy the book, I think I've made some of the stories a little bit interesting. We've got some stories about motivation and stories about making money. So I'm going to do the obligatory disclosure. I am not an attorney. I am not a CPA. If you're going to put in any type of LLC to protect yourself, I can review how we use LLCs. Charles Elston is online here. Hello, Charles. And he was gone to a couple different seminars with me with regards to real estate investment, and Guy Kawasaki, the author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. So this is going to be broken down into three parts. Super quick about me. I am one of the owners of 23 Homes. If you've ever been to our website, our YouTube channel is one of the largest YouTube channels here in the DC area for people who are looking to buy. We have over 3,000 videos. The most popular website here in the DC area is run by another agent. However, they're selling or hawking their products for real estate agents. We don't do that. All our products are direct to consumer as opposed to direct to business, which is what they do. So why are you here today? I'm hoping that everybody here wants to learn a little bit about real estate investment. We've got a bunch of war stories. We've got the scars. We've got the receipts to prove it. Receipts being like physical receipts for having to do roofs and hire police and attorneys. And we know just about everything that can go wrong with a rental. So we can answer those questions at the end if you have issues or problems. Mike had brought one up here. But we want to talk about the Millionaire Real Estate Investor and see if we can help you on your path to generational wealth. It's never too late to start. You could also use this for taking care of elder parents or aligning yourself. We're going to go through a couple different strategies that's used by the Kennedys and the Rockefellers. So a very broad mix of concepts, but everything I hope is thought-provoking. I'm not sure what caused you to think about real estate, but in the chat box on the right-hand side, if you could just type in what your thoughts are. Very good. I will definitely do that about LLCs, definitely to get into that. If you want to type in why you're here today, I can kind of address a few of those issues. Also, what's caused you to start thinking about real estate and investment, or just let me know why you're here. And I'll be happy to address those questions in the chat box on the right. I'll keep that up so I can look at them and get things going. So my whole idea is to share some thoughts on money, life, real estate, and investing. My wife and I, who you can see over there, has got the teal shirt on, is my partner. So we we definitely bicker like a husband and wife, but we are definitely shoulder to shoulder when it comes to real estate investing. So that's one of the first parts, is make sure that if you do have a partner, that you guys are at least simpatico with regards to the goals that you have with regards to real estate investing. This first session, we're only going to cover the book itself is broken into 3 different areas. The first one is possibilities, misunderstandings, real estate investments, current statistics, which we'll get into just a little bit. And then the big thing is, what's your big why? Inside the book on page 79 of the book, if you are inclined to go out and purchase that book, there is an entire section on putting together your big why. It's more out of possibility thinking. There's a lot of different types of ways to motivate yourself and start moving towards a big goal or what it is that you want. But they've got an interesting technique, which we're going to share with you tonight. However, it does require you to suspend a little bit of disbelief. Everybody does have some disbelief, but that's up to you. About me, I am a licensed realtor in the state of Virginia. I am a licensed general contractor, so I know the difference between an ionization rod inside a hot water heater and a damper in a heating system. So when I take my clients out, instead of getting a sentence answer, they usually get a paragraph answer. Some appreciate that. Some think I'm a little bit long-winded. I'm also a internationally licensed project manager, and with a project, there always comes scope, time, cost, and quality. So I know how to sell houses within a particular budget and within a specific price range. However, my partner, who is my wife, is a heck of a lot better than I am, because she has been voted as one of the top realtors year after year after year. So hats off to Gift. Thinking about investing outside the state. Yeah, we'll definitely talk about that. Older part of McLean. Yes, we'll get into looking to understand someone can build a revenue stream by owning multiple rent. Yes, we're definitely going to cover that as well too. Very, very good questions, by the way. Yes, you can rename yourself under the 3 dots.
Yeah, so I just want to shout out, because I don't know why everyone come in under brand username. The top part, if you scroll down under your name, the top on the right is a 3 name, then you can rename it.
So I think she's talking about this part here. If you come underneath rename, you can rename yourself.
And Glenn, while you're talking, you want everyone to just ask question, or how's that work out for your plan?
So I'm looking at the questions as we go. All these topics are going to be covered all at different times, though.
Yeah, so I just want to make sure we are good on time.
Yeah, absolutely. We're right on time right now.
Okay, perfect. We see Alina. We see a lot of family face, and Howard is new, and Charles, James. So yeah. Awesome.
So this session is only going to go for about 45 minutes. So we're going to get out of here right on time, and I'm going to fly through some of these slides here and stories. Unearned income. So everybody wants to be in a position. The big thing that Gary Keller talks about is the possibilities. What's your possibility for making more money and moving your life forward to do the things that it is that you love? One of the things I always think about is that how many 90-year-olds do you see jet skiing down in the Florida Keys? Not a lot of folks, but I'm sure if people started earlier with real estate investment, that you would obviously be able to retire younger and enjoy more of your life. And that's really what it's all about. So I'm going to be explaining with you tonight models and leverage, and how you can work real estate investments to the point where you no longer have to work if you so choose. It's not easy, but you have to have the right attitude. You have to have the right understanding. And I'm going to go through a couple of those tonight. I'm sure I'll not be able to answer everybody's questions, but I'll be collecting these. This is just the first part. There's 2 more parts to this book, and we'll definitely cover it over the next 3 sessions. So if you have a path to choose and you want to be active in investments, getting into real estate is the absolute best kind of business model, way to build overall wealth throughout life. And this book does do a 10-year study on wealth, so I highly recommend it. So we talked about possibility. I put this guy up here because most people don't know who this is, or if you do, go ahead and put it down in the chat section. This is Stephen King. Stephen King is motivated by, this is his strategy. He is one of the, he's the #1 actually author of fiction novels for horror stories. But this is what he thinks. This is what gets him to take action, to move forward. It is there's 2 ways that people do it, right? Possibility and then necessity. Stephen King is motivated by necessity. He says that when he sits down to write a book, he imagines somebody sneaking up behind him and that he has to finish this book. Otherwise, that person's going to get him. It's complete fiction, right? He's just something inside his mind. However, it is a strategy that has motivated him to continue to write. So it's when you're looking at building wealth and moving forward, you have to look at your belief structure and what you understand money and wealth to be. There's different types of wealth. There's wealth in your health. There's wealth in making money.
Sorry, Glenn have slide, but we don't see the slide. I mean, I don't see it. Does anybody else see it?
No, I don't see it. I was wondering if there was something wrong with me.
We're not seeing any slide. Okay, now it looks like
there we go. Awesome.
You might want to flip in the beginning. Just
so I'll go back to just to see a couple of the slides. We talked about myself, which I don't want to talk about anymore. Financial wealth, we haven't missed a lot. And then my interesting picture, just to kind of get people motivated and get the creative juices going, kind of green light thinking here. So interesting picture of Stephen King. This one here is one that I've used throughout the years. Again, it's you start off with your beliefs. You have to have the right values, your attitudes, how you act, and you always get some type of feedback with how you act. The reaction is either getting you towards a goal or it's away from a goal. And you take that experience and then you process it and then it circles all the way back. 5 years ago, my wife said to me, she goes, I want to buy a rental house every single year for the next 5 years. So I'm a pretty conservative guy. I almost fell off my chair. I said, there's no way. Are you crazy, Baba? And of course, that got into a heated discussion, as it always does. But, using our experience and her motivation, we have, I don't think we bought 5 out of 5 years, but we bought 3 out of the last 5 years. And it's turned out to be a good experience. So,
can I interrupt real quick?
Yeah, please.
Glenn left off another part. The good part is remember 2009, 2010 when the market crashed. So I just got into real estate at that time. And I love investment. I went to many classes and they all like buy real estate, buy right now, right? And then I came home because I don't have showing income, right? So I can't get a loan. So I told Glenn, how much can you get a loan? We're gonna buy 10 homes because I show these homes to my client and they are like 150, 200,000 single family home in Sterling. So 100,000 home, single family home in Woodbridge. I came home very excited and I told him buy 10 homes. Just put 20% down each one, get line of credit, do whatever you can to get this, right? So he freaked out. So that's what I want to share. Now he didn't listen.
Yeah, I mean, back then in 2009, you could buy an entire single family home that was foreclosed on, that was in pristine condition. I mean, really good, livable condition for $150,000. Those houses today in the exact same neighborhood are going for 300, 320. We have one client who actually bought 40 houses in Woodbridge on what they call a tape. A tape is what the banks put together and they sell a cluster of houses. So he owns 40 houses and he bought them all off a tape back in.
Do you or someone you know looking to buy, sell, or investment in real estate?
If you're thinking about selling, our proven marketing plan can sell your house for top dollar with an absolutely smooth closing in the shortest period of time.
Call us 703-707-0334. We will help you.
Bye now.
Back in 2009 on bankruptcy. So, but here's the concept. How many people here, if you've heard this before, go ahead and raise your hand. There's ways of raising your hand, but inside of here, would you take, the question is, would you take $1 million right now today, or would you take a penny day doubled for the next 30 days? Anybody want to take the $1 million? Going once, going twice. Oh, wait, here's my chat. There we go. I heard of this before, and I believe the penny day double was the best choice. Someone else said, I'll take the million. And someone says the penny. Okay, very good. Excellent, guys. Good responses. Thank you. So this is what it works out to be. If you take the penny a day doubled for 30 days, it winds up to be $5,368,070. Real estate is the exact same way. My mentor actually was losing money throughout the 80s on his rental houses. At one point, he had 9 rental houses in Pimmit Hills, and today he's down to 6, and he still has 3 in Pimmit Hills, and all of them are paid off. And he started in 1974. He makes over $150,000, and this is pretty much the exact same concept. So back then in the 80s, you were able to write off as much interest on mortgages as you could. They've now changed the tax laws, but back then that was his motivation. So he was making very good money. So was his wife, and they just kept buying house after house. But now he's retired, he gets his government pension, and he's making $150,000 off all his houses, which are all paid off. I mean, just remarkable. Okay, there are 8 myths to understanding wealth between you and financial wealth. I'm going to go through all of them. But the very first thing is that people always ask me when I start talking about real estate is, oh my gosh, what's the risk? You're a project manager. Do you do risk analysis? So I'm going to run through a risk analysis for you. This particular analysis is done by someone who's in the industry who will be left unnamed. And we're going to do full circle. So I'm going to go through the worst and best case scenario for this individual. This individual has been a mortgage banker. He's not online, by the way, a mortgage banker for over 30 years. He purchased a house. You take a look at this slide on January of 2005, December of 2005 for $490,000. The house was built, that one number there is wrong. The house was built in 2001 and it was purchased for $410,000. So from 2001 to 2005, the house appreciated about $250,000. So he purchased this in 2005, and then this house just plummeted throughout the next 15 years. So in 2010, and I listened to this gentleman, I met with him every 2 months, complain about this. In 2010, his house was worth $290,000 on a house that he purchased in 2005. This is when people were buying houses and selling them, flipping them within 3 months and walking away with $10,000. It's never been like that before or since. However, just so everybody knows, we had the highest appreciation ever this past year, 16% appreciation on real estate here in the DC metropolitan area. So DC is one of the best places to buy a rental house, and here's the reason why. We are insulated because of the federal government. If you buy a house on a coastal city such as New York, Baltimore, Boston, Miami, pick a coastal city. Same thing on the West Coast, Seattle, Los Angeles, San Diego. Those houses go like this. They go up and down, up and down, up and down. If you buy in Nebraska, it's straight across. If you buy a house in Nebraska for $200,000, you're pretty much going to sell it 10 years later for maybe 205. So if you want stability, then you go to the Midwest. If you want to ride it out, now we're in DC, so the federal government smooths out the rides. For this particular gentleman, it wasn't a smooth ride. It was white knuckle for him, but he was in the industry.
Can I just add something?
Sure.
Because some people already have a home, right? So basically, just to clarify, when you buy in a location, a good location, you always gonna get appreciation. But sometimes you don't get your return investment the same way as somebody, go out of DC area, because it doesn't make sense. Right? Let's say you spend $200,000 purchase, then you not get 10% back on your rent. That's why a lot of investors also buy something outside our area, like in the West or even Florida. The home cheaper, they get higher return. So it just depends on where is your goal. If your goal to looking for the location which you can sell as appreciate, then that will be this target area.
So, and if you are outside the area, you're going to need a very good property manager, which we'll cover. So here, this is his worst case. Everybody knows where this is. This is Route 50, Lee Jackson. There's Tall Cedars Parkway. There's Conklin on the bottom. So this house was bought in South Riding. So this is a real story. Today, that house is paid off. He's a mortgage banker. His average monthly rent is $2,400 a month. His house is now paid off. He is netting after taxes and insurance $1,850. Now he's the happiest guy in the world. But for 15 years, I heard him complain. The houses now in that area are selling for $510. So a house that he bought back in 2005 is now worth $2,010. So the lesson here are our lessons on this scary story, is that you always make your money on the buy. So if you're going to be buying a rental house, you want to be buying it for anywhere from 5 to 10% the average neighborhood prices. However, because you're paying for a rental house, you need to save 20% on that particular home. The mortgage company is not going to finance you unless you have 20%, which automatically also eliminates PMI, which is private mortgage insurance. That puts an extra $80 to $100 a month in your pocket. If you're 10% below and you put 20% down, here in the DC market, you should be earning a minimum of $400 a month. And technically it should be closer to $550 to $650, depending upon the rentals in the community that you buy. All these are the things that you need to take in consideration. If the deal does go south, you must be prepared to go for the long haul. And then here are your habits at the bottom, because we talked about habits earlier on that previous slide. They did a longitudinal study. The habit of all millionaires is that they're frugal, all the ways up to Bill Gates and the Oracle from Omaha. When they all first started out, they lived on 50% of their earnings. So they always lived below their means. And what determines your future? Again, this goes back to the thinking slide. It's the people you associate with, the books you read, and how you think determines your future. So this gentleman who bought this house, who I'm friends with, I told him, hang in there, hang in there. He gave me a hug about a year ago when the prices finally went up. The second part, again, we're on the possibilities, right? There's necessity and possibilities. Possibilities, you always, when you start making your money, you don't want to go out and spend it like a drunken sailor. You want to start to collect those monthly rents, and you want to be able to have 2 months rent in the bank. And you also want to be able to sell buy 3 big ticket item expenses. So on your Rich Dad, Poor Dad, with regards to your cash flow, if you read his book, he says on your rentals, you should be making or earning $200 a month. The overwhelming majority of Kawasaki's rentals are in the Midwest, not on the coast. I'm here in the DC area. I'm telling you that the minimum rental that you should have here in the DC area is about $450 a month, which is $5,400 a year. You can use that number to work backwards to figure out how many rentals you would need in order to retire, or if you lose a job, be able to support yourself without a job. Here are some of the averages here in the DC area. And the reason why I've got these ranges is because the lower number is for a townhouse, and the higher number is for a individual house. So an HVAC for a townhouse is generally $4,500. An HVAC system is for a house is about $7,000. Personal myths. We're going to get into personal myths. We're going to cover this. So the myth number 1, I don't need to be an investor. My job will take care of me and my financial wealth. Well, that's just not the case. If you've ever lost a job before, if you've been part of a RIF, a reduction in force, if you've been laid off for whatever reason, it's not a pleasant experience, that's for sure. So you always need something to fall back on. So Social Security doesn't keep up with the cost of living. And by the way, 401ks don't keep up with the cost of living. Myth number 2, I don't need or want to be financially wealthy. I'm happy with what I have. Well, you got to be careful if you've got that attitude. This goes back to thinking, folks. So that's the reason why I started off with that previous slide. You want to at least be able to provide for yourselves when you get up in age or you're approaching retirement. Having a cash flow rental is going to benefit you in a variety of different ways. One of those ways is that you get tax advantages for investing or researching your house. Up to $23,000 you can write off. And then most of these funds that are out there, they don't make you any promises. So there's, with your 401ks, you have very little control over it. As I mentioned earlier, rental houses give you a lot more control. And it doesn't matter if I want or need it, I can just do it myself. I can go out and work. Well, nobody can predict the future. My mom, when she was retired, she said, I've got all this money saved. She was very proud. She's a traditionalist, which means she was born in the 1920s. She goes, that's really good. I go, Mom, that's very, very good for retiring in the 1970s. I go, you're 90 years old. That's not a lot of money. So when you get ready to retire, you got to make sure that you have enough money in the bank. So we did kind of the 3 personal myths. Now we're going to do the investing myths. Investing is complicated. I can't do it. Well, the truth is that it's only as complicated as you make it. Buying real estate, if you own a home, is not as difficult as long as you know the different pieces of the house and you've got a good network. We help our clients out all the time with a variety of different issues, whether it's mold or leaky pipes. The best investments require knowledge and most people don't have. Well, the best investment really is in yourself, and being able to have something that's hands-on, but that's lower risk than stocks, which would be real estate. It's a slightly higher risk than a savings account. However, your returns are much more significant. So there's no risk at zero. The bottom line with real estate is that it's always worth something. It never goes to zero. And historically, it has consistently gone up over time. Myth number 3, investing is risky. I'll lose my money. Well, investing technically is not risky as long as you know your models and you're not relying on timing. It's actually quite rewarding to do real estate than most other investments. Successful investors are able to time the market. Again, there's no market timing in real estate. If you follow the previous rule, which is the 5 to 10% and the 20% down, you will be fine because you're coming out the gate cash flowing. By the way, a long time ago, there was a study done about the money that you make on McDonald's franchises. Midwestern franchises or airport franchises were only making about $1,000 to $2,000 a month after all expenses were paid. So, I mean, you essentially have, by buying a house, you have a McDonald's franchise. So all good investments are taken. There's nothing out there. You just got to be patient. There's a lot of foreclosures on the horizon. There's going to be a lot of opportunity out there. I have to tell you that the DC market is competitive, but there's always opportunity out there, and we can help you find it. So we're going to go take some fun stuff now. Does anybody just recognize these faces here? Just go ahead and type in the chat box. Again, we're going to green light thinking now, getting a little bit creative. Does anybody recognize any of these faces?
Do you or someone you know looking to buy, sell, or investment in real estate?
If you're thinking about selling, our proven marketing plan can sell your house for top dollar with an absolutely smooth closing in the shortest period of time.
Call us 703-707-0334. We will help you.
Bye now.
I guess not. So the guy on the left is Cornelius Vanderbilt. The guy in the middle is Carlos Gambino. And the guy on the right is William Fargo from Wells Fargo. So let's take a look at these gentlemen. We're looking at two sides of the coin. So I've studied these guys. Cornelius Vanderbilt, today, if he was alive with his money, he'd have $5 trillion. However, the family's net worth is $1.5 million. He never discussed wealth with his children, and he did emerging technologies. He did trains. I'm not sure if you're familiar. Carlos Gambino was a mafia boss. He was worth $600 million. Again, I look at the good guys, the bad guys, right? So the crime doesn't pay. Today, he'd be worth $2.7 billion. But today his family is only worth 30 million, and they're in the food business. And then Fargo, he's the most interesting one at all. He created the pension. Now, my question to you, I know a lot of folks with pensions. There's very few of them left, but when the pension recipient passes away, guess what they pass on to their family? Generally zero, unless you take a lower monthly pension, and then your wife can have some of that pension. So pensions aren't all what they're wrapped up with if you're trying to build generational income. So they earn money for today. They did not institute financial wealth strategies except for their own personal gain. They had no generational wealth strategy, which we're going to get into, and they thought in the terms of the new car, which is a story that's coming up. So here's the second side of the coin, right? We looked at the bad side. Let's look at the good side. John D. Rockefeller, arguably the richest man ever. Today, his net worth would be $8 trillion, almost $9 trillion. However, because he did it the right way, his family is worth the family's net worth is $750 billion. So just under $1 trillion. Each kid, there's 250 heirs. Each one is about $3 billion. So multiply 250 times 3. Plus there's a Rockefeller Foundation. Plus there's Rockefeller Resorts. By the way, folks, the overwhelming majority of his investments are in real estate. I'm going to speed it up here because I've got about 10 minutes with a bunch of questions to talk about. A few of the things that he talked about for doing generational wealth was family meetings twice a year, doing Christmas lunches. You had to be 21 years old to participate in the trust. You have to be invited to participate in the trust. and they use a generational skipping trust, which I could get into, but I'm not going to for this. And they do a lot of life insurance. Kennedys do this as well too. So if you're familiar with the Kennedys, they do the exact same thing. More contemporary guy, we talked about the old guys. Alex Rodriguez, very interesting guy. He's very active with real estate, especially with Keller Williams. He knows Gary Keller. He made $450 million in playing baseball. He's turned that into a $2 billion investment. It is almost exclusively in real estate and construction. So I could tell you his story. I know it in meticulous detail. So National Association of Realtors, this is what Gift was getting in. And you folks that have asked me about sue you if they trip and fall. Okay, so the way to avoid having someone sue you if you trip and fall, if you don't have an LLC or a trust that the property is deeded to, then yes, they can sue both you and your wife and your main house and the house that you're renting out. So if your main house is paid off, that is, for lack of a better words, completely naked. We can show you how to set up an LLC, and we could also help you, guide you. Now, again, I'm not an attorney, but I would recommend having an attorney review it, but we've done this. As long as you have a goal to retirement and there's rent first, is it a good option? It's a good question. I'd like to rent out, have all my houses rented out. If you got cash flow from all your rentals, and you've got enough money in the bank and you know what your monthly budget is, it's very, very easy to retire. My one friend who's my mentor, he retired early. $450,000 paying the mortgage is good. Can you get appreciation on it? So that's a good question. We're coming up to appreciation. So Gift earlier talked about Florida. You need to have a good property management company. If you look over here, 68%, number two, 68% of all investors buy within a 50-mile radius of their residence. Heck, that's what Gift and I did. The average sale price last year in a house, according to National Association of Realtors, was $96,000. That's all the houses across America. So here in the DC area, you have to expect to spend, and we want to avoid condos, on a townhouse, the lowest end, optimally a single family house. That's the best one. See right here, 63% were single family houses because you don't have to deal with an HOA. If you do have a renter who's not taking care of the lawn, you're not going to get dinged. There's a big benefit for having single family houses in blue collar areas. Rich Dad, Poor Dad talks about that in his book. And then the top one here, 70% of all multifamily units were purchased by investors, probably Alex Rodriguez. I mean, he loves multifamily units. Hard to find multifamily units here in the DC area. There's a few in Falls Church, and they go for top dollar, and they usually sell within a weekend. You'd have to be going up to Baltimore, but Baltimore is a completely different market. You'd have to go down to Richmond. Richmond's a completely different market than DC. What's the next one? Was there another question that came up? What areas in Novas are good for rentals?
And quick question, Howard. You said you don't see any slide. Glenn presenting it, we can see the slide. Because based on your message, you don't see any slide.
When you talk about DC, do you mean DC, Nova, and Maryland? Yes. I mean Prince William County, Prince George's County, Prince William County, Arlington County, Loudoun County, Fairfax County. Oh, that was an older question from Howard. Thank you, Howard. Howard was on the ball.
Okay, sorry. Yeah. I missed it. I tried to go through the question, but can you give him also the beginning question that he asked about the rental for his mom? McLean, Vienna area, Glenn?
I have a home in Vienna. My elderly parents have a home in McLean, looking to understand how someone can build revenue stream by owning multiple. I'm kind of covering that. Howard, just if I'm not getting it, what I would do is what my wife and I did first off is we took a home equity line of credit. Some houses are suited for being a rental because you have to have them in the right area, generally kind of a blue collar area or a millennial area. If it's a really nice house that's above $500,000, generally speaking, you don't want to rent that house out unless it's dumpy. The reason why is because you can buy 2 houses or 2 townhouses for $250,000 and rent those out for $4,000 a month versus renting out one large single family house for $2,800. $2,800 to $3,000 for a single family house is really pushing the upper limit unless you're talking about a mansion and you're lucky enough to have it rented out for 3 or 4 years to an embassy person or a government agency, which we're familiar with.
Okay, so also I want to add up real quick. If the house in Vienna, because generally it's very expensive to me in that location. Glenn said it's right, but also if its condition need a lot of work, if you're gonna do work to the home, then it's better just sell it. And like Glenn said, sell this one, take money and buy a cheaper rental property and leverage more.
Yep. You can get an LLC anytime. You just have to redo your title work. So you have to get a title. We have a title agency that can give you a discount to do that. So you would create the LLC. You have to pay for it each year. It comes to your house. You would be the agent. If your house is in Maryland, you'd have to get a Maryland agent, which is pretty easy to do. So it's just a different process. I'll be happy to talk to you about that. And then, yes, we have relationships with 2 banks. Arlington Community Bank is pretty good at giving out low loans, and so is Atlantic Union Trust, and we have relationship with them, and we can refer them for you. I got a refi, but man, if you got a refi below 2.5 on a rental, that is awesome. You stole that money. Congratulations. Yep. Tell me what bank that is. Yes, Gift.
So Ron, question. Did you see that?
I've got it from the bottom here. My experience in bargain lenders on rental properties. No, did I miss a question? I think we're good.
Ron, talk about short-term rent. Do you see any lender beginning to consider short-term rent lease into a grading loan without?
Yeah, I just gave 2.
Oh, okay, got it. Sorry.
Yeah. All right, this next, so we talked about I'm going to try and wrap this up. We're starting to hit the end of it, and I'm not even close to being done, which I was kind of fearful of. I did practice this last night, but this year I had a friend of mine who's a realtor, very successful realtor, said to me, "Hey, I saved $60,000. I'm going to go out and buy this Shelby car." I said, "Why in the world would you do that?" He said, "What are you talking about?" I said, "You should go out and buy a rental house and then use that to pay for it." So let's go through the math here. So instead of going out and buy big ticket item, folks, go out and buy a house and use that as your piggy bank. So he could get a $300,000 house with a $60,000 down payment, a 30-year mortgage of $240,000. The monthly payment's going to be about $1,376 because it's 20%. There's no PMI, private mortgage insurance. You can rent on the low end, a house out for $1,900 for $300,000. Should be higher than that. I'm very conservative. You cash flow $524, and then on the right hand side, you go out and buy a new car, new boat. You get a car loan. Generally, it's 4 years. It's $830 for 4 years. It's going to be $1,361. If you use your monthly cash flow from the rental $524, that drops it down to $837. So over 4 years, you're going to be negative $40,176 because you're still going to have to pay that $837. So let's go on to on the left-hand side. During that 8 years, your rent increases, you get depreciation from taxes, you get appreciation from the economy, and you get to write off $23,000 a year on expenses on the rental house. So if you take the approach on the left, after 8 years, your car is going to be worth $13,000. Your house should be worth, using just online appreciation calculators with a conservative 2.5%, $418,000. Your balance at the end of the 8 years, your balance is going to finally be zero. Your mortgage would have dropped because your mortgage is being paid by the renter now, right? So your mortgage would be now valued at $238,000. So your monthly, or that should be rent, not rand, should have increased from $1,900 to about $2,100 to $50, using the regular rental increases. Now you're earning $774 a month, or almost $10,000 a year. Your total profit is $180,000. All I did was subtract the $418 from the $238. So that's a $22,000 raise you're giving yourself each year over an 8-year period. And again, we talked about potential. This is a potential. We'll finish up with the big why. We didn't have a chance to finish. That was our car story. So that goes back. Let me see if I've got, hold on, any other. Yeah, I got two slides. So just let me finish up these 2 slides. The question is discovering your big why. And the question they use is, if money is not an object.
Do you or someone you know looking to buy, sell, or investment in real estate?
If you're thinking about selling, our proven marketing plan can sell your house for top dollar with an absolutely smooth closing in the shortest period of time.
Call us 703-707-0334. We will help you.
Bye now.
What would you want to accomplish in your life if money's not an object? Because what happens is you'll have, if you get enough rentals, you'll have your rental money making money, and you're living off your rental money, but then you should have a little extra, right? Because you're living underneath. You just start saving that up and buy another rental just from the monthly cash flow, and then buy another rental. You see what I'm saying? So it's you can start having your money make money. Some folks are starting from a little bit below. They don't have savings or assets. So I always recommend doing the Dave Ramsey process, which is the 7 steps. And then you go to his blog, and he's got how to get out of debt. Gift and I bought our first house. We used one house to buy another house. So we got a home equity line of credit to buy another house. That's how we did it. It wasn't no magic to it, no secret to it. And now the rent, that mortgage at the time was about $1,200 on the home equity line of credit, and our rent was $1,800. Man, oh man, you thought we were in high cotton. Today that rent is $2,400, by the way. So your balancing system, someone talked about this earlier. If you have 2 properties instead of 1, have you doubled the maintenance use? Yes, you have. And that means that you have to save a different bucket of money for each one of those houses. However, very rarely do 2 or 3 things, at least on the houses that we manage, very rarely do 2 or 3 things break simultaneously in the same month. But as long as you've got your cash flow of that 450 to 500, you're in good shape. And as long as you're building up your emergency fund. Your balancing system. This is the last one, and actually, I'm going to skip over this. We'll go over this next month, but I'm just going to go through our lessons. For motivation, both possibility and necessity. Possibility is the dream. Necessity is the fuel or the action. Go back and think of our scary fiction writer. You make your money on the buy. So you want to buy, 5 to 15% your home value, 5 to 10. You're going to put 20% down. You're going to cash flow right out the gate. The market is forgiving. So if you're a visionary and something happens, then just hold it out for the long haul. Generally, it won't, as long as you follow rule number 2. If you're flipping a house, you have to make that decision up front, and you have to run fast, and you have to have access to cash, whether it's a line of credit through a company or it is your home equity line of credit. Condo versus townhouse versus single family house. Do not buy condos. I know one gentleman that all he did was buy brand new condos. It's hard to find brand new condos right now. I would steer you towards townhouses or single family houses. Optimally, the single family house is going to get you your greatest appreciation. Condos do not appreciate unless you're buying it brand new before it gets to the market. Balancing your condition, location, appreciation potential, which is the previous slide. We'll go over that next month. And then when you're buying a house or you find a deal, you have to move fast. Gift and I found a house over the weekend. It was worth 200. It was listed at 239. We knew it was going to be competitive. Our max price was 240, and this was going to be on our line of credit, right? Our home equity line of credit. And it wound up selling for almost 260. Gift, do you remember what the final close price was? Yeah. 260. So far $20,000 above what our ask price is. So if you lose a deal, don't worry, there's another one coming. Next time we get together, we're going to be talking about the power of leverage, more on the penny day doubled, and how to grow your net worth so you can be in a position to buy more rentals. Does cash flow of 50 account for the HOA dues should be paid for by your renter. So that should not be part of your the 450 should be your cash flow or higher. So HOA is paid for by the renter. And then the last one here, someone's giving me a white gold. Let me just take a quick look here what this website is. Oh, someone's wants me to buy a $26,000 watch. I don't think so. No, that's okay. Anyway, hey, listen, it was great. If there's any other questions, go ahead and drop those in the chat right now. I'll be happy to answer those. This webinar is, I believe, being recorded, and we will have this on YouTube probably in the next day or two.
Well, I think they can, yeah, just go ahead, Mike. You can speak up microphone if you guys have questions.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Hi, Glenn Gift. This was great. Thank you. I just have a couple questions. Oh, I was the one that posted that I got the under 2.5 for refinancing my rental in Franklin Farm, single family house. I did it by playing rental company. I have pretty good credit, so they are calling me, Quicken Loans, Loan Depot. But I did it by saying who can give me the best price. I know I have good credit. There's nothing wrong. I don't have any debts. So who can give me the best price? And I got them almost down to like it was my primary resident price. So you can play that. And also, if you have a preferred lender, I use Nation Star, Mr. Cooper. They seem to be able to beat all the other offers. That helps me.
Awesome. Thank you for that. I didn't know about that. I'm going to look them up.
And one other question. Where are you finding homes in the DC area for $240,000, $250,000? The homes that I see, at least in the Herndon area here, even a townhouse goes for $450,000 and up.
Yeah, so that's why you have to connect with us. We actually part of the wholesaler group, and I'm part of different group, and then I got an email sometime, or the home that we flipped and we bought. You've been to that, Mike? The one I bought over there, also part of the wholesaler group. Sometimes we have to look at the deal, the one that Glenn make example. We have to know our number, because if we have the number calculate, then doesn't make sense, then let go. Because I assume the person that bought that home that we let go is they plan to live in the home, and I think they own contractor company. So that's why they be able to fix that price. I actually have another one coming up. I can share with you. Do you want to look at it? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be interested in looking because I'm in the market to buy another rental, but I'm not sure. I talked to you, Gift, earlier. I may be selling the place in Maryland, but after hearing this, I'm not sure I want to sell. I may be selling because I'm having that one bad experience with tenants, but I don't know if that's the right thing to sell because that house is almost paid off and it's a single family house. It's in Montgomery County. It's in it's a smaller house. It's in a blue collar area. It hit all the things that you said that were good. It has no HOA in the area, and it's and the
So
taxes.
depend on
the taxes
where
are
you're
low
going
on
to
it.
spend money. Mike,
okay.
I would say if you sell that, you have to look for something else to buy.
You'd be looking at doing a 1039 exchange.
Right. So
Right.
Sorry, 1031 exchange. 1031.
because you already make money, you already paid off. Basically, you have large cash sit into one home. And then when the tenant move out, then you have to do some work, or I don't know. I mean, normally that's what
I wouldn't recommend selling. I mean, like I said, real property this past year went up 16%. I'd hold on just to see what's what
we
else,
have to look
especially
at
if
the
it's
numbers.
close to being
So
paid off. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's close to being paid off. After seeing this, I'm thinking of holding on to it. But that, having a bad experience with renters not paying really makes you want to sell. But listening to you guys, most likely I won't have that experience again if I rent it to somebody else.
So there's three secrets to renting the right person. I'll go through those real quick with you. The biggest one is you want to find a renter that is within 30 miles, no more than 30 miles of of your house, because they're going to get frustrated driving. So you want to make sure that they're no more than 40-minute drive to work. If they're close to their work, they're going to stay there forever. The second thing is that you want to go straight to month relationship right off the bat. The reason why you don't want to get a long-term year, 2, 3 year type of lease is because then you're stuck with them. If you go month to month, the attitude is this: hey, look, if you don't want to be here, I don't want you to be here because you're not going to take care of the house. On the oppositely, if they don't pay and you don't want them to be there, you can say, hey, look, it's not working out. You got to go because we're on month to month. So they know that they start right off on thin ice, and they need you more than you need them. I've been in courts a lot of times, and I can tell you this right now, that the renters know the rental law better than the landlords. And if you go month to month, you eliminate all your problems up front.
Couple of questions here. So Dimitri saying that he's thinking about using VA loan. So I understand the VA loan is for primary resident.
Yeah, VA loan.
Anything with the investment, you have to put 20% down.
Yeah, VA loans can only be used for primary resident unless you do something less than scrupulous and buy a house with a VA loan and then move out and then go out and buy another VA house, which we've seen.
Yeah, that's another thing. Many people do that buy the home and make sure don't put it on under investment. You have to make sure that you are going to be a primary resident. Then after you live in there, you move out.
Yeah.
However, I think they have a time limit. You have to check with VA guidelines that how often then can you buy. I know one of my clients bought 10 property using all VA loan, but he moved different city each time. When he moved, then he's using that to buy property. So that makes sense for him because he get an order to move, then he keep the property. But if you buy straight out as an investor, then then we have to check with VA guideline.
Cool. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. We'll hopefully see everybody next month for the power of leverage and why real estate and growing your net worth.
And James, we not forget you, so we'll call you private. I know we have to meet too. So, but thank you everyone for joining us. And any question, always reach out to us. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you. This is very useful. I would like to talk to you on another session in private about possibly purchasing another home,
right,
without selling the other one.
We can do that, yeah. Or even take the equity out from your home that you already have large equity, thing like that. But I think what I like to see for you is I have to see how much if you sell, and then where can you buy, and then can you make that double money that you're gonna spend, or should you keep it?
That's smart.
That would be the idea. Yeah.
Okay.
All
yeah.
right.
Bye-bye. Thank you. We'll talk later. Bye-bye. Thank you.